Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster3, and it's time for yet another horror review video. And for today's movie that I'm gonna make a review of is the film called Deadly Manor from 1990, and it was actually made in 1989, but I don't think it was released until 1990. But it feels more like an 80s film. Now this film is very like cliche in a way. This I'm just gonna say that this film is directed by uh, Jose Ramon Larraz, I believe his name is. Jose Ramon Larraz. The reason why I look at the screen is just because it doesn't state anything about that on this particular DVD release. But this is the guy who also directed Edge of the Axe, I believe, and I really enjoyed that one. That's another like 80s slasher film, kind of an obscure one. But anyway, this one is from 1990 and or 89, but depending on when it was released or whatever, you get what I mean. But anyway, this is about a couple of people that are on some sort of vacation. They are actually supposed to go to a lake, and I think there are about six. Yeah, there's six persons in this group or whatever. Three couples in total, and there's another guy that is like hitchhiking a ride or whatever. So they pick him up. You should never do that, but they actually do that. And they feel he's a little bit strange and odd and whatnot, but they kind of like ask him, "Do you know the area?" And he said, "Well, I do." And then they kind of like give him a ride or whatever. So he kind of like stays with them for quite a while. But there's something very strange about this guy in general. You kind of get this. Yeah, he's a very sketchy guy, but you don't really know what he's been doing really. But anyway, they walk through, or like they go through the woods, or drive through the woods, I should say, and they end up at this abandoned house or whatever, pretty large house, and it has a very nice style to it when it comes to like the atmosphere and the opening bit or whatever. Uh, so then they get there and there's all kinds of crazy, creepy things going around, and suddenly people start getting picked off one by one. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But this kind of reminded me. This is gonna sound really strange, but this kind of the whole setup kind of reminds me a little bit of Night of the Demons, and I'm a big fan of that film, and I should just stop talking about it because it feels like I'm constantly referring to that film so many times. But that's the style of it in the first 20 minutes or so. Um, there's some really interesting like death scenes, even though you don't see anything very very graphic or anything like that, but it's quite tense. And the whole identity of the killer and the motivation was very interesting as well. Um, and I would say, I mean, that's all of the positive things and the atmosphere and some of the soundtrack in the first like 25 minutes or so. But the problem is the pacing in this film is just so bad. It just takes forever for anything to really happen in the film. I mean, I do get the fact that they wanted to establish the characters as to what they are and their characteristics and whatnot, and the way they act in general. Um, I do totally get that, but you don't need to have that for like 45 minutes. That's almost what it feels like, or like 40. I mean, I'm not really sure if it was 45 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. So like the first 25 minutes or so, pretty interesting setup and everything like that. The middle section of the film is a really really boring story to look at, and I'm not really sure if it's just the particular copy that also doesn't look very good. I believe this is like a VHS transfer on this one. But the ending is quite interesting and it's pretty like tense towards the last like 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. But that mid section of the film just really ruins the entire like um, what they actually set out to do to make an atmospheric and interesting film with these characters. And I mean, obviously these characters are not going to be extremely likable or anything like that, but I thought the whole setup of these characters were very interesting. You actually get to care about these characters, which you don't really do very often in some of these kind of slasher films in general. But I liked most of the characters. It's just the fact that there's so little like death scenes that you actually can see, and they just tend to pop up for such a long time in between that you have to wait like so long time before anything really starts happening. That's the major issue of this film. And also, I would say this could be the release that I have, because I do know for a fact that Arrow released this on Blu-ray not too long ago. I think it was a couple of years ago, and I think it's still pretty easy to come across. So if you have seen this film and you liked it, pick up the Blu-ray release instead. I don't think I'm gonna bother to upgrade this one to Blu-ray, because why would I do that for a film that I kind of think was kind of like a mediocre film in general? Don't get me wrong, I think it's still an okay film. But you're not if you're not into those lower budgeted films in general, I would say you skip this one. In my personal opinion, this is a 5 out of 10. And this might sound like, well, you told us that you liked the atmosphere in it, but yeah, I did like the atmosphere for the first like 25 minutes, and then it was like kind of like, ugh, bore fest. Come on, something needs to happen. Um, but yeah, this is a 5 out of 10 for me. I can still recommend this one, even though I don't really recommend films that I give 5 out of 10. Usually they're just kind of forgettable. But this one was okay, I would say. So yeah, Deadly Manor from 1990, 5 out of 10 for me. So yeah, there you go. That's everything I have to say about that particular film. We'll see if I make yet another horror review video in the upcoming weeks or so. Don't really know. It sometimes just comes down to the fact that if I have the motivation to it and if I'm up to it, so or feel inspirational. So yeah, and I'm not really sure about the next video. It might actually be another update video, and it's going to be a rather big one because I haven't made an update video in it's like 1 month or 1.5 months or so from now on. I'm not really sure how long time it's been since I made one, but that's also going to come up eventually. So keep your eyes open for that one, and hope you enjoyed this particular video, and see you next time. Bye bye.